That intro gets me every time. Spooky.
I know. Spooky.
Hello, everybody over there in the chat. We have Fantastic Travels. We have MelNetteLivingFreeZipCodeless was in the chat, but currently, I believe, phone's not working and she won't be able to chat over there.
No.
I don't think she's going to know what to do with her hands during this hour we have here, but we'll give it a go. Then we have Little Bit Crazy, 50 Angela, Happy Place Camping. We have Desert Adventures in Arizona. Hello and welcome.
Mm-hmm.
We have Shanna Craft, Our Epic RV Adventure. And looks like Nursing Our Travel Bug did a raid. So thank you very much, Nursing Our Travel Bug. We have Hitch Up and Tow just came in. Camping Therapies here.
Cool.
Looks like people are scrolling in now. RV Underway. I just watched your live not that long ago, and it was great to see all you happy people together.
Happy on brownies.
Then we have Long Haul Lifesavers just came in. Rick Bowes Rides, Lucky Dog Productions moderator Sue, Scott Jacobs in Appreciation. Hello. Thank you, Lucky Dog, for dropping the link over in Nursing Our Travel Bug. I appreciate that. All right. So today's story is, you want to give a little bit of background on it and I'll pull it up?
Yeah, it's a haunted tree that is in Mobile, Alabama. So it's a little bit different than what we've covered, but it's a pretty fascinating story. A haunted graveyard tree.
Yeah, it doesn't look real spooky, but I think your story is going to be interesting on it here. We have RV America in here also. Hello. And I say this every time. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to give a big shout out to Nettie because she does the research on these. She likes doing it. She puts in a lot of time researching it, and I really appreciate all the work she does on these. So let's get into the story. The story of this haunted graveyard tree in Alabama will chill you to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
What's the building by it? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Looks like an elementary school, which is I think why it freaked me out, because it looks like an old elementary school. All right. You want to take the first one?
Mm-hmm. So Alabama is home to several haunted places, many of which have been frightening people for decades. One place in particular is a historic Church Street graveyard.
All right. Church Street Graveyard is located in Mobile, Alabama. It opened in 1820, which makes it the city's oldest cemetery. Yeah, that looks more creepy.
Yeah, it does, right?
Yeah, that looks a little bit creepy. Hey, Nursing Our Travel Bug, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Covering approximately 4 acres, this historic cemetery is the final resting place of several notable figures such as Don Miguel Escalava, a Spanish governmental official, General Edmund Gaines, a hero of war of 1812, and Eugene Walter, an award-winning author, screenwriter, poet, and actor.
All right. Can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I hit a button on my mic and I was a little worried. Hollybourne Mansion on Jekyll Island is a great story if you haven't heard it. So Scott
wow.
Jacobs Association. That may be one we need to check out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's getting creepier. Those are like the above ground encapsulations, right?
Yeah, they're all above ground.
In 1836, Mobile's Magnolia Cemetery was established, which ultimately led to the 1898 closure of Church Street Graveyard. Creepy.
Today, the Church Street Graveyard is best known for the live oak tree that's growing just outside its wall. However, it isn't just an old oak tree, it's a haunted oak tree with a story that most certainly will chill you to the bone.
Happy Place Camping said, I think above ground ones are creepier looking. I agree.
Yeah.
It's almost like it could reach out and grab you if there was like a crack in the concrete or something like that.
Right.
That's my fear.
So that is the haunted oak tree just outside the cemetery.
And it's like got these little wooden things around it, which is kind of weird because the one in the back doesn't.
Right.
And then I don't know what this building is. I pray it's not a home, because if somebody lived in that place right next to this tree, no.
Yeah.
Oak trees live to be hundreds of years old, said Desert Adventures in Arizona. As the story goes, a man by the name of Charles R.S. Boynton, I think I said that right, came to Mobile from Connecticut in 1833. On May 11th, 1834, he was seen walking towards Church Street Graveyard with his friend Nathaniel Frost.
They're pretty old.
I imagine they were really pretty when they were new and shiny. But like over time, they just become very creepy looking.
Yeah. Later that day, Frost was found robbed and left for dead outside the cemetery. Mr. Boynton was arrested while attempting to flee Mobile. On February 20th, 1835, he was hanged by the neck and buried in the Church Street graveyard. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it said. Okay.
Yeah. So his friend robbed him?
Uh-huh. And Nathaniel Frost was buried in the Church Street graveyard.
Whoa. That's not a very good friend. Oh my. Can we go back and watch that again?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going back.
Hello, Tommy Travels.
Hey, Tommy. You are awesome. Boynton was said to have murdered Frost in the Church Street graveyard. Nathaniel Frost's body was found in Church Street graveyard, stabbed several times. Man, I'd hate to know who this guy's enemies were if these were his friends.
I know, that's pretty crazy.
Man, it's a creepy looking graveyard.
Prior to his hanging, Mr. Boynton declared that a mighty oak tree would spring from his heart to prove his innocence. An oak tree did eventually grow from his grave, and ever since then, there has been several reports of crying and whispering sounds coming from it.
That was his grave?
That was his grave where the oak tree grew out of, outside the cemetery.
Okay, that's crazy.
Right?
Especially, whoa, can you imagine? Imagine your mom or dad being like, by the way, I am going to have a cherry tree come up right where I am buried. And then years later, a cherry tree pops up. You like know they were talking to you.
Yeah. And he said that he was innocent. And to prove that he was innocent, this oak tree will grow from his heart at his gravesite. And it did.
My. That's crazy. And then you can hear crying and whispering. Woo.
Yeah.
Hey, Ford man. Welcome to the chat.
Mm-hmm. And that's the picture of it when his gravestone was still there.
And it does look like it's like coming from where is the middle of his body, his heart would be.
Right.
It's crazy. The story of the Boynton Oak continues to be one of Alabama's most haunted tales, which just so happens to be featured in Catherine Tucker Widham's Jeffrey's another Jeffrey's latest 13 More Alabama Ghost.
Jeffrey's back.
Jeffrey's back again. There we go.
So let us start from the beginning. Charles Boynton was a printer from Connecticut. He arrived in Mobile in 1833 and obtained residence at a boarding house owned by Mrs. William George. While there, he became good friends with Nathaniel Frost.
Fantastic Travels says, hi, Jeffrey. That's beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
That is really, really pretty.
Yeah.
I have a knock at my door. Hold on one moment, please. I'm live.
1 moment, please.
All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Nathaniel Frost was an introvert, suffered bouts of melancholy, and had tuberculosis. Frost was also a printer, and Frost and Boynton would go to the nearby Church Street Cemetery, sit and read poems, and enjoy their friendship there. Quiet on the set. How many acorns were in Boynton's pockets when he was buried?
Right.
Like somebody thought, this will be a great joke. I'm going to put some acorns in there. I thought that knock was paranormal for a second there, said Tommy Travels. Right.
Boynton did more than write poems. He was also a musician and played the harp and the mandolin. He was invited to a posh ball to be held at the Alabama Hotel.
A posh ball.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Upscale is what I'm guessing. Isn't that what posh means? Is like really upscale. Charles spent much of his savings on good clothes to be worn to the ball. While there, he saw a woman who he became completely infatuated with. Her name was Rose de Fleur. I don't know if I said that right, but I tried. The daughter of Count de Fleur.
De Fleur.
De Fleur. I can't speak English, and now they want me to speak French. I don't think so.
Right. There's the bell.
I think buildings back then were just so grand and beautiful. Nowadays, it's all about getting them up quickly and, conserving or whatever, which I believe we need to do. But also, we need some buildings that are built like this, that are so grand and.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy, I love Posh Spice. Yep.
She had every dance that night, as she was well liked. Borington eventually was able to dance with her, and they became very close almost immediately.
Oh, so she got around a little, huh?
It sounds like it, right?
They said it nicely. She was popular, not she got around. She danced all around that ball. Now my phone's going crazy. I'm sorry. Forgot to turn the volume off on it. All right. Charles found out that Rose attended Mass each morning at the Catholic Church, so he began to attend regularly. Rose was escorted by a staff member of her father, Lydia, who was quite the romantic and would pass notes between the two during the service. Hitch Up and Toes says, Posh, port out starboard home. You had money.
Oh.
And Desert Adventures in Arizona says they don't build them like that anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. And we don't really have those community gatherings either, because everybody's so busy doing their own thing, But back in the day, it was Friday nights or Saturday would be the dance or whatever, and the whole community would go and you'd get to know each other. I think that is kind of missing in our society a little bit. All right. Again, beautiful building.
Mm-hmm. Now, Rose's father was not in favor of this union. He did not see Borington as having the funds to provide for his daughter. It made it quite difficult for them to see each one another.
Well, you always got the confessional booth.
Yeah.
Boynton stopped attending social events and began to spend endless hours composing poetry for Rose. Everyone in the boarding house was aware of this and slightly teased Charles. Slightly. That's very romantic, though.
Yeah. And Tommy travels.
Going to church every single morning would be a deal breaker for me.
Charles also daydreamed of his love so much that it affected his work. He was warned several times. Then in the spring of 1834, he was fired from his printing job.
Aww.
That's not good.
No. But maybe he shouldn't have daydreamed so much.
Yeah.
Love's a powerful thing, though, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
The girl put a curse on him. She said, you will love me so much you will lose everything. Printing job. That's like a printing machine.
Mm-hmm.
He began to search for work every day. But his only true profession was printer, and no one wanted to hire a printer who had been fired for poor work. Now Rose's father would never allow the marriage.
Now it's starting to get a little bitter here. It's going south. Now Nathaniel Frost felt very sorry for Boynton and one day offered to pay for Boynton's room, board, and expenses until he could secure employment again. But instead of being grateful for the offer, Boynton felt humiliated. They had a lot of pride back then, you know?
Yeah. It's a shame. That part of it is a shame that pride got in the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody offering to help shouldn't cause anger. It should cause thankfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at the size of that building. It's the boarding house, but it's massive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. RV Underway said, hey, folks, Happy Place Camping is close to their watch hours. Show them some love tonight. So if we could all do that, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Happy Place, if you have a playlist, you want to drop the link to it in the chat so people can mark it to watch it, that'd be great. Is this one yours or mine?
Oh, your turn.
Okay. He learned that Frost had stashed away quite a bit of money in a chest in his room. Then one day, Frost was telling Boynton that he knew how to carve objects out of wood. Boynton wanted to carve a heart from wood for his true love, Rose.
So they set out to the cemetery where Frost was to show Boynton how to carve. Later that day, Boynton went to see Miss George and gave her a package to be delivered to Rose.
Why were they hanging out in the cemetery to begin with?
They were reading poems to one another. It said, I
just believe hanging out in the cemetery is a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it was peaceful and quiet.
Or it might have been just close to their boarding house, you know?
That's true. Miss George did inquire as to the whereabouts of Frost, but Boynton assured her that he was fine, telling her that he wanted to spend time enjoying the day in the quiet cemetery. This was to be the last day in the boarding house. His last day in the boarding house.
Yeah. That same night, Boynton boarded the ship James Monroe, which sailed out to Mobile and was headed to Montgomery. Miss George, concerned as Frost was not in his room the next morning, called the sheriff, who then discovered the body of Frost in the cemetery.
Scott Jacobs said only benches around, probably. Shanna's Craft, maybe they were in the closet.
Probably.
So she called the sheriff. Okay, those are creepy. Those are creepier than the flat squared ones, like a round one.
Yeah, that's like, kind of different, right? How it's just like...
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
The body was covered in stabbed wounds. The carving knife that Frost had taken with him was nowhere to be found. Circumstantial evidence all pointed to the absent Boynton, and on May 12, 1834, the town paper ran an article by the town mayor, John Stocking Jr. Wait a minute, what did I miss? Circumstantial evidence all pointed to the absent Boynton, and on May 12, 1834, the town paper ran an article by the town mayor, John Stockington Jr. In the article, he noted the facts of the case and wrote that Charles Boynton was suspected of murder and wanted. Hey, Donald. Thanks for coming in.
He also offered a $250 reward from the Board of Aldermen at the urging of the mayor. The article ran on a Monday, and by Thursday, Boynton was found aboard the James Monroe, and he was handcuffed and brought back to the Mobile jail.
Happy Place Camping said, I sent some foul play here. Yes, those are creepier. Nellie said, yeah, creepy weird. Tommy Travels said, that's the worst carving class ever.
Yep. Well, he wanted to carve a heart. I wonder if he stabbed his heart. That's just kind of weird.
Well, if he wanted to carve a heart,
yeah,
an oak tree grows out of his heart, and he was in love. Like, it's all heart related. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I can't imagine setting out on the ocean in one of those rinky-dink ships.
Right?
Compared to like a cruise ship nowadays, which cruise ships wreck all the time. Like, can you imagine going out in that thing? No, thank you.
No.
Despite the convincing evidence, Boynton proclaimed his innocence over and over again. He was arrested in May, and his trial was set for November of 1834.
While in jail, he wrote endless poems to his love, Rose. Rose, who was just as much in love with Boynton as he was with her, completely was certain of his innocence. She visited him many times at the jail until her father got word of this and then put her under 24-hour surveillance.
I was thinking when he first saying she visited him every day in jail, I was like, wait a minute. She could go visit him in jail but couldn't date him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy Place said, that ship looks sketchy. Yeah. There's wires holding on the stuff to it. She was not allowed to visit or answer Boynton's correspondence. Still, he wrote. His trial was short and down to one man. The jury found him guilty of murder. He was sentenced to hang in February 1835, and from the beginning of his arrest until the actual execution, he proclaimed his innocence. Man, wearing them wigs.
I know, right? My hair kind of looks like theirs.
I can't imagine how hot that would have been, the clothing that they wore and the wigs and just all of it had to be so exhausting by the end of the day. Think about, like, we like to wash our makeup off at the end of the day and it feels so good. Like, having to take the wig off all those clothes.
And didn't they wear like stockings also, right? Underneath their pants?
Yeah, and the women had like
stockings.
And the women had them big ring things to
their
dresses go out.
Boynton befriended a local preacher, Presbyterian minister, Reverend William T. Hamilton, who tried his best to talk Boynton into a confession. He never did. Hamilton spent long hours trying to convince Boynton of the existence of God. He never accomplished this.
I'm going with Happy Place Camping's theory here. She said maybe the father did it to frame Boynton.
Hey. Never know.
I'm going along with her theory for now.
Yeah.
William T. Hamilton. Instead, Boynton wrote poems and letters to the editor of the local paper, proclaiming his innocence. On the day of his execution, a coffin was purchased and put on the back of a wagon. Boynton was then forced to walk behind the wagon in full view of his coffin on his way to the gallows. That's humiliating.
That's pretty bad. Can't imagine seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
His execution was horribly botched. He tried to run, then was caught. He moved all over the gallows, and he was literally thrown off the gallows and held down by his hands to execute him.
That's one thing I do not like about the old days. Is executions were like a show. It was like a big thing. Everybody went and watched. Like, something's not quite right upstairs if you enjoy watching someone die. Whether they're a bad person or not, watching someone die would be horrific.
It was a big event. Everybody wanted to go.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense to me at all.
Even children, you know?
Yeah, can you imagine taking a child, like a toddler, to go watch? No. I guess it would make them think twice about committing a crime, though.
Yeah.
That is a scary thing. Happy Place said, I'm sure people still would watch if they were allowed nowadays. Yeah, that's probably true.
Probably true.
But before Boynton was executed, he made a long statement of his innocence and was cut short by the executioner. He then proclaimed that a great oak tree would grow from his grave, thus proclaiming his innocence. Oh, Tommy says, this was one of his actual poems. Somebody help me. Gosh darn dang. Somebody hello me before I hang. That sounds like somebody pleading.
Yeah. That's a drawing of a tree growing out of his heart.
That is crazy looking.
Yeah.
His legs. I guess these are roots.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Oh, these are his legs. I was looking at it totally wrong. Legs, heart, head, arm. Wow, it's amazing how your vision can totally flip things. For a minute, at the very beginning, I thought this was a leg going down here, this was a leg going down here, and then like his head was probably up here somewhere. And then all of a sudden, my eyes just zoomed in and saw the right thing.
Tommy said, that was a joke, you guys. Hey, it sounded pretty good, Tommy Travels.
It does. The gosh darn dang made me kind of wonder, but right. Your turn?
I think so. Because Boynton was a criminal, it was thought that he should be buried in this. He should not be buried in the cemetery, but rather in a potter's field just outside the cemetery walls.
Oh.
So that's
why he wasn't
in the cemetery. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a heck of an oak tree, too. Like a
It is, huh?
mighty strong one. I wonder why they put these around it. Is it to preserve the tree, to like try to stop people from going into it, or?
No, they actually have photos of people standing next to the tree. So they allow you to go in and to, view it close.
I wonder why they put those up. Indeed, a great oak grew over the grave where Boynton was buried, and can be seen today. You can find the tree as it has several blocks of wood surrounding it in the ground. There is no headstone remaining, as it has long been removed. Indeed, the tree is said to be haunted. Happy place. I like that house across the street. Maybe more of a marker so people know which tree to look at. Just a thought.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like, because it's close to the road, right?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe kind of like, you know how they put those barriers at parking lot or parking spots to keep the cars from going too far?
Mm-hmm.
Donald says, oh, okay, I'm hoping to get you together with Stephanie Harlow. You have a lot in common. Thanks, Donald. I appreciate that. Happy Place says, oh, so it's just markers. Haha.
The Church Street Graveyard is the oldest graveyard in Mobile. It opened in 1820 and was closed in 1898. The land was originally purchased for $20 by Joshua and William Kennedy on April 4th, 1820. A yellow fever epidemic, which started in 1819, soon filled the cemetery as approximately 274 people died.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Old Church Street Cemetery, 1819, established in 1819 by City of Mobile for yellow fever victims. Buried in raised tombs are Spanish and French citizens of early Mobile and many pioneer Americans. Hey, my backyard science. Hello and welcome. The graveyard was originally located 1/2 mile from Mobile. It was believed that germs could infect citizens from the cemetery. Thus, a large wall was constructed and area around the cemetery expanded.
To find Boynton Oak in Mobile, Alabama, the tree sits on the edge of a parking lot. Small wood blocks surround the oak.
Okay, they keep saying something about the small wood blocks, but they're not telling us why. It's pretty. It's a big tree. Big tree. He had a big heart.
Boynton Oak.
Boynton Oak. Yeah, these houses across the street are really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And so those small wood blocks are scary.
It just probably has to be a marker they did, so you would know which tree it is. But they also have a sign right in front of it.
Yeah. I don't think he did it. Do you think he did it?
Because he kept saying he was innocent. And then for this tree to grow and to prove its innocence, he said it would grow,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, but it's kind of odd, I don't know.
To me, it's like, what was his actual reason? Like, what was the reason that he would do that? What would make someone do that? And I know they said that his friend offered to pay for his room or board or whatever, but I don't think that's a reason to kill somebody. Like, it would have to be something major that would make you want to
And I
actually.
guess they're thinking because Nathaniel had that money stashed away,
But he
and
didn't
maybe
want
he
the
was,
money.
no, but it's like he was trying to prove to to Rose's dad, that he had money, but he left to go find a job in Montgomery. So I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make
It's a
sense to
mystery.
me. It makes me believe he didn't do it, because if he didn't want to accept the money for his room and board, then why would he kill a man to take the man's money? That just doesn't make sense to me. I do like the theory Happy Place said, where the father did it because what better way to get him out of his daughter's life. Um, it looks like a
Yeah.
lot of people want to go inside the houses across the street from it. Hitch Up and Toast saying was innocent, was only making it worse for himself. Tommy Travel said, I think he put some seeds in his pockets before they hung him.
I would like to check out that tree.
Yeah, that'd be
And I
pretty
wonder
cool.
if you do hear anything.
You wonder what?
I would wonder if you could hear, like they were saying, any like crying or moans or.
Can you imagine living across the street from it, and like every night you hear it crying and moaning, and eventually you're just like, shut up, tree. Like, it would feel so
I
creepy.
wouldn't even want to trim the tree. I'm not trimming those those limbs.
No, like out of a nightmare, blood starts coming out of like the branch of a tree.
Right?
And you're like, ah! Happy Place said, plus, if he could make her think he was a murderer, maybe he would stop pining after him. Yep, I said pining. Sticking with the old time theme. If he can make her think he was not a murderer, probably. Hey, Full Time Dream, welcome to the chat. Shanna Craft says,
And hello
I'd
now.
move.
Now, Court. Hello now.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Nell. Sorry I missed you coming in there. Yeah, that was a good story, because that's not something you hear very often. Two people hanging out in a cemetery and one murders the other. It's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little different. I thought it was pretty fascinating doing the research on it.
Yeah, and I love the old time stuff too. Hitch Up and Toast said, City Jail, last meal is acorns. So they're eating them. He's like, I'll just put them in my pocket. They'll grow quicker.
I would have loved to have seen the picture of his actual headstone,
Yeah, that's something
before
else.
it was removed.
You were saying this story is kind of similar to the other one in the fact that when you researched it, you couldn't find images of any kind.
No. I couldn't find the actual, Mr. Boyerton or Nathaniel Frost or Rose. I couldn't find them at all. I did find the Reverend. I was able to find him. But, yeah.
And that's weird, because Rose was from a pretty affluent family.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't say that word right. I tried to use a big word and it backfired on me. Forgive me. But yeah, she was from a pretty rich family. So it's kind of like that other story. It surprises me that these richer families that probably had access to photography back then don't have any images.
Yeah.
the men living in the boarding house, Boynton and Nathaniel Frost, I could maybe see them not having pictures because they weren't. I'm sure they didn't have extra money to go spend on having a picture taken of themselves. But
right.
I'm
But
one of
even
Rose.
for Nathaniel Frost being buried in the cemetery, I still couldn't locate his headstone. Now, I don't know if maybe it's because you would think they would still have records of it, as far as even if, say, the name is missing now because of age, but I couldn't find his headstone in the cemetery either. And he is buried in the cemetery there.
That's odd. Let me go up here and read some comments real quick. We have Shanna Craft who said, the guys were lovers. Then the one fell in love with Rose. The one dude killed the other because his heart was broken. Tommy Treble says, well, he couldn't marry his true love, but he still left a family tree. Hold on. Tink says, I saw my wife in the cemetery with our postman, and when I asked what they were doing, she said it was a special delivery. Y'all are funny. Keep me laughing.
Yeah.
That's very funny. So maybe we look into I'd have to scroll up quite a ways to find this, I'm sure. But the one that Scott Jacobs was talking about.
Yeah, I'll do a screenshot of it when it posts so I can check that out, start researching it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah,
and
I can screenshot it.
And I think on Wednesday this week, I'm going to do a chit chat live. And then I'm also going to have the clips from Nomadic Hippies. Words are escaping me. Words are hard.
At the morgue?
At the morgue. There we go. It's a big word. It was hard for me. I'm going to have the clips from work, and we can all kind of go through those on Wednesday and chit chat about, like, because some of the stuff I'm like, okay, look, if somebody wanted to fake it, they probably could fake that. Now, I know Hippie was nowhere near the morgue, so I know he didn't fake it, but there's some things in these video clips that I'm like, there's no way to fake that. So I want to hear what everybody's opinions are and how they think it could have been faked, because, I'm a skeptic at heart. So that's, I think, planned for Wednesday. I will be live and we'll do that.
That'll be pretty fascinating.
I think it'd be fun to break them down with everybody. And we're all looking at the same time, trying to see stuff.
I think so too.
Donald said, as a teenager, I lived near an old Civil War hospital. You feel things like a cold in that area. Yeah. Tommy Treble says it's not faked. And yeah, Hippie and I have had many conversations where he's like, no, I wouldn't fake anything down there because I want it to be authentic. Like, I want it to be real, and I don't want people to not believe me if I fake something. So I know that things are real, but there's always that little piece of you that's like, well, a mouse could have moved that, or this could have happened. I'm telling you, there's one clip, though, where the egg goes from this way to this way to this way, back to this way again, and then flips completely around. And I'm like, there's no explanation. So.
Oh, there it is. A Hollyborn mansion.
Yeah, Hollyborn mansion. And Nelcourt said, did you sneeze when you were cold?
Yeah.
Hitch up until said naked hippie. Dirty naked hippie. All right. Well, we're done a little bit early, but
Mm-hmm.
if someone can go ahead and drop Boxman D's link in the chat, that would be fantastic. I really, really appreciate it. And then you can follow all the raids tonight. Have a good Sunday evening watching, everybody.
Yeah.
As
I
always,
had fun, Dee.
yeah, I really, really have fun with you. I love Sunday nights. I look forward to this
Mm-hmm.
and chit-chatting with everybody in the chat. I really love it.
Yeah.
I say it every week. It's the same thing. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Tommy Travel said, when that chair moved and knocked the head off the table, there's no way that was a mouse. No, that wasn't a mouse.
Yeah.
Nell said, I really like when I can drop in. You all are great. Thanks. Shannon Crab says, that was fun. Full time said, good night. So good night.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that being said, Happy Place, thank you for dropping the link. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us. Wishing you all much kindness and much love.
And sending love your way. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.